Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I was just reading an article about how in San Francisco, housing has become so unaffordable that even tech workers who are making $1 million a year end up having to live in these pod, kind of like almost like a capsule hotel that you might see in Japan. And I've been to Japan before. I lived in the first time I went there, I was in an internet cafe, and another time I was in a capsule hotel. I gotta say something. There are people who live there long term, but what's the problem with it? It only becomes a problem if we have a problem with that, right? So right now I live in a hostel with quite a few other people, and I wish it were more acceptable to live like this long term, because then the people you meet would be very different than the kind of people that you meet here, right? It's so stigmatized that you only meet certain groups of people, right? I hate to put words to it, but you get the idea, right? If it weren't stigmatized and more people could mingle, in Taiwan and Poland, the hostels there, you meet all sorts of people, right? And not so much so here. I'm a little bit disappointed because I had hoped that this would be a way for me to network with more people. I'll have to think about if I want to stay here. As the weather gets cooler, it also becomes possible to move back into my car, and then I can accumulate more bismuth as I do that, right? I'll have to weigh that out, because I'm not getting everything that I was hoping for living here, right? You get the idea, right? Why the stigma involved in that, right? I wish it were more common to network with more people. Every time I have to talk to one of my roommates about something, it almost feels like nobody wants to have an open discussion about it, right? Now, it might not be the end of the world when I just have an issue with my roommates, but the whole environment of nobody can talk to one another, I think, is what is holding us back. Right now, as I speak, there's a lot of workplace dramas, quiet quitting, striking. People are worried about the economy and all that. I think if lines of communication were open, a lot of this wouldn't go down that direction. Let me give you an example. Recently, Mike Bloomberg was upset about this remote work revolution. I talk about him because I used to work for him, and he claimed that he can find evidence that this is not going well because more people are playing golf. He pulled up a number of statistics about people playing golf. Well, guess what? More people probably drive cars today than they did 100 years ago, right? More people have access to healthy foods today than they did 50 years ago even. Does that take away time from their work? Right? More people certainly surf the internet more than they did even 10 or 20 years ago, right? More people, you get the idea, right? More people are solosexual or come out of the closet as solosexual today than they did even 5 years ago, right? Does that all detract from work, right? I want Mike Bloomberg, if he can point out that his terminals aren't being improved as much over the last 3 years compared to the 3 years before that, I might be interested in reading that. But all he says is people playing golf. See, in a perfect world, people should sit across the table from Mike Bloomberg and say, hey, that great idea came up with for your terminal. I came up with it while swinging the golf club the other day. I really do my best work at the golf course, right? In an ideal world, there would be open lines of communication. Good luck trying to do that at a meeting. Right? Oh, I came up with this while playing golf, right? I've never heard anything like that. I would so much love to say it sometimes, right? Sometimes I really do come up with interesting ideas while doing stuff I love. I can't tell you how many, I teach at Phoenix College right now, how many examples that I use. I teach math, right? Sometimes I give an example of real life application, so that I learn while doing stuff that I love, right? Examples about how bismuth crystals grow and all that. The other day, I invited the students to think about if 20 years ago we discovered bismuth was slightly radioactive. But I have doubts about that experiment, and I asked my students to think about how there might be a problem with that experiment. Now, the problem is that it's hard enough to get extremely pure bismuth, right? And what the experimenters did was they made the Geiger counter itself out of solid bismuth in order to test the radioactivity of bismuth. But the tricky part is that it's hard enough to get very pure stuff, and especially to remove the isotopes of the other isotopes of bismuth from the bismuth 209. Right. So in nature, there's a small amount of bismuth, 210 and 214, and even 210 metastable, which has a half-life of 300-some thousand years. Right. The regular 210 you might be able to wait it out, right? But the metastable one, and then it decays into bismuth regular 210, and then polonium 210, and then the alpha decay. So you might be picking that up instead, right? So you see, and then there's other interesting examples that come up in real life, right? But of course, good luck, right? When I'm sitting across the table from my dean, hey, guess what? Those math examples that I used, I came up with because I was researching how to do bismuth crystals, or while I was writing a computer game, while I was traveling the world. Or good luck, right? Unfortunately, we are so close. So good luck trying to explain. See, I have a roommate who is really sensitive to noise, and I'm trying to adapt to it. But I think part of the reason he has become so sensitive to noise, to the point that accidentally dropping your pencil on the floor will wake him up, I think it's because it's too quiet in here. If he had a soft radio or television or a YouTube video or even white noise, I don't think that would have played. But good luck trying to explain to him, right? I wish we had this sit-down culture where we could actually have a fireside chat with everybody's opinions floating around. I really do. But we've become a very antisocial, and our influencers don't make it don't help as well, right? We love to propagate ideologies instead of rethinking them, right? So right now, as I speak, everybody's crazy about Taylor Swift's new love life, but I actually am crazy about the love life she had in between when she broke up back in April with the what was his name of this actor, and before she met the football player. That relationship, when she continued singing despite it pouring rain, and when she caused an earthquake in Seattle. I like that relationship better, but nobody's going to be crazy about it. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.